Good evening, everybody. My name is Liam McGrade, and welcome to this career seminar with Helena and Phil Davis from 3D Facility Support, hosted by myself and ICRA as members of the Sutton Coldfield Youth Council. This seminar has been set up by the Youth Council in cooperation with the Sutton Chamber of Commerce and is the first in a series of seminars in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, so as Liam just said, we're going to be interviewing members of the Chamber of Commerce about their journeys through education, apprenticeships, and now running successful businesses with over 5 million turnover, along with the chance for students to ask questions at the end. We appreciate that it is more difficult than ever for students to get an insight into the world of work. So hopefully this will help students feel more informed about their career decisions for the future.
Yeah, the next seminar is with Burley Brown Chartered Surveyors on Thursday the 25th of February, also at 6:30. The post is in the chat, so if anybody is interested in any of the upcoming seminars, feel free to tune in. It'll be the same link for each time, and it's every second Thursday. The Sutton Coldfield Youth Council consists of representatives from each school in Sutton, and we are working to do things like this to provide opportunities for the young people in Sutton. As well as these seminars, the Youth Council has other plans in the following months ahead of us, including a Sutton-wide non-uniform day, with all the money raised going towards the YMCA, which is a charity we've decided to focus our fundraising on, along with other exciting events in the future. So be sure to donate what you can to the YMCA, as they're a charity that does lots for youth all over the country, including here in Sutton. The link should be in the chat to the YMCA website, so if you can, it would be appreciated if you donate, as it would be much appreciated by all of us here today.
So before we begin, please could I remind everyone that the seminar is being recorded, so please keep your mics and cameras off during the event. And there will be a chance for you to ask questions at the end in the chats of the presentation, so please make sure to have a few questions ready to ask our hosts. They both went to school here in Sutton, just like all of us Youth Council members and most of our audience here today. So please may I welcome Helena Davis and Phil Davis from 3D Facility Support, who specialise in engineering solutions and facility management for both commercial and industrial buildings. Hello, Helena and Phil Davis. Thank you for being kind enough for joining us here today for our seminar. For the audience members who may not know what facility support is, please tell us a bit about yourselves. I believe you have a presentation to share.
Yes, hello and thank you. We have a presentation to share, so I'll just put that up for you now. Can you all see my screen?
The screen hasn't come up yet. There we go, it's up.
So yes, we have a presentation with a few slides to share with you. It'll just outline our education and our career journey so far, and also our experience working for our family business, 3D Facility Support in Sutton Coldfield. So I'm Helena and this is Phil, and the presentation will outline how different our careers are and our approaches to education. For example, I went to sixth form and then university, carried out placement year, had another job after university, then joined the family company, whereas Phil finished school after GCSEs, joined the family business straight away and apprenticeship, and then has worked his way up, promotions throughout roles and done training courses, and now is attending university. So we're trying to outline how it's two very different career approaches.
I'll just give a brief overview of what here at 3D we do. We specialise in innovative engineering solutions and facilities management for commercial and industrial buildings of all sizes and scales. We deliver maintenance support programs bespoke to the customer and client's requirements and business priorities. Our business ethos is to deliver a quality, dependable and trustworthy service at a fair and competitive price with personalised service. We work with customers in a variety of sectors, including education, retail, hospitality, leisure, healthcare and the motor trade industry.
So as I said, my name's Helena and I'll speak a bit about my education. So I'm currently the marketing executive here at 3D Facility Support. I was educated in Sutton Coldfield. I went to the Deanery Primary School and then Fairfax Secondary School and sixth form. For A-levels, I studied business studies, psychology and geography. In psychology, I enjoyed learning about people's behaviour and how they can be influenced, which I thought sat nicely alongside business and the marketing aspect, and learn how brands can influence customers. So I then went on to university at De Montfort in Leicester and achieved a business and marketing degree, which also included a placement year. So at uni, the main topics I covered were branding, creative marketing and planning, consumer cultures, and direct and digital marketing. So throughout those main topics, it gave me a very broad understanding of marketing in general. As I said, whilst at university, I did a placement year, and this was at cross-country trains at their head office in Birmingham, and there I was a digital marketing assistant. My main roles there were to maintain the company website, to create and manage the Instagram strategy. I also coordinated data for their campaigns, oversaw any of their blogger activities, ensuring the bloggers worked within any brand guidelines, and also reviewing their content for different social media channels. Also use Google Analytics to understand cross-country's customer segments and their customer behaviour. Then after graduating from university, I went straight into a role as marketing coordinator at Bridgestone, and this was based at their UK head office in Warwick. My main roles here were event planning across all of their car sectors, or sectors including car, agricultural and their truck and bus. Also Olympic activation, which included ensuring Olympic assets were used appropriately, and also pushing Olympic-based activities as much as we could. Also supported the brand ambassador activities and budget planning. And then I joined the family business 3D in June 2020 as the marketing executive. Here I've been managing all the marketing activities, also the social media, public relations and our corporate social responsibility. I've now been here for 8 months, and as you can guess, I joined during mid-COVID pandemic. So things have been different to how we would have guessed, but we have been adapting our ways of working, and I'll cover that all shortly on another slide. But that's a brief overview of my education and career so far, and I'll pass over to Phil to explain his different career approach and how he started on an apprenticeship from 16.
Yeah, so my name's Phil Davis, as already mentioned. I am now the service manager at 3D Facilities. Educated in Sutton Coldfield, again went to Deanery Primary School and Fairfax Secondary School. Left Fairfax at 16 to become a trainee apprentice at 3D Facilities. Firstly gaining my air conditioning refrigeration qualifications. Although I didn't go to sixth form, I have gained qualifications through Southern City College, Birmingham, in Bordesley Green. Going through to BCU and doing ONC, HNC and H&D qualifications, and then finishing off through De Montfort University doing my building services engineering degree. Some of the topics such as thermodynamics, energy efficiencies, project management, etc. So a bit more of an in-depth breakdown of my sort of path was South City College, Birmingham, the MVQ in air conditioning refrigeration. At 18 then went on to carry out my domestic gas and commercial gas, oil, LPG qualifications. Moving on then to my level 3, which starts with sort of the design stages of building services engineering, level 3, then through to BCU to do my HNC and H&D qualifications, and then finishing off the Montfort Uni, which is my final year this year, in a building services engineering degree. So it's been a long old path for 10 years, but nearly finished. I started originally in 2012 at age 16 as a trainee. Since then, I've advanced through the roles, going from a trainee through to a HVAC engineer, developing into service supervisor, then taking over as service manager, probably about 6 months ago now. Every day is different with facilities management. It's quite versatile. We cover various different trades, quoting, planning, booking in work accordingly to suit our customers' requirements. Some days can be boiler installations, air conditioning, electrics. Our jobs vary as we have various engineers to meet customers' requirements. Being at 3D has enabled me to get so many qualifications, but also a lot of others coming from a young age developing through the company. Our staff retention is quite high due to ongoing training, investment in staff, and an ethos of promoting within instead of bringing others in. We value our staff and believe in the importance of continually developing staff through college, university, and training courses. We facilitate regular in-house training, health and safety workshops, asbestos awareness training, manual handling training, refreshers courses that we can now do with our a new workshop, for example, and personal development through the company. We recently moved to a new premises, and our training room allows us to do more in-house training, and again utilising the workshop for more practical assessments and training.
As I mentioned before, how we've had to adapt our ways of working at 3D due to the COVID-19, our managing director reacted immediately by creating an adapted business strategy plan. So Neil controlled and scaled our business and adapted whilst safely enabling us as staff to continue working.
As an essential service provider, we're able to continue offering service provision throughout the challenging period. Since the coronavirus lockdown, we've secured over 50 new maintenance contracts, including 2 newly developed hotels in London. As you can see from the images on the screen, we introduced new workplace controls, safe working procedures, and hygiene monitoring within our office. This has included hand sanitizer, antibacterial wipes in every workspace, protective work screens, social distancing measures, health and safety signage, and professional cleaning every day.
So on the screen, you can now see an example of the sports teams we've sponsored in the local community. And as you can see, one of them also includes a ladies football team, which I think is great. Also, an example of some of the events and conferences we'd usually be attending due to COVID, but unfortunately have been postponed mostly for this year. Hopefully we can get back to normality soon enough. And as you mentioned during the introduction, the YMCA Sutton Coldfield, we are proud to be supporting them this year as the local Sutton Coldfield charity, helping them to reach their fundraising target and raising awareness of homelessness. And we do encourage as many people as possible to participate in their Sleep Easy event and to donate to their great cause. And also, despite the effects of COVID throughout most of 2020, we did manage to recruit 5 new employees last year, gained 56 new customers, and we won 1 award, all of which we are very proud of as a company and us and our staff. So we've noted a few advantages of going to university and doing an apprenticeship, as we believe they are both great career options for anyone. There's no better either, or it depends what suits yourself. So at university, you can learn from industry experts during lectures and classes. You can become a specialist in a subject. For example, you can be studying for 3-4 years in that chosen subject. And during the holidays, such as the summer and outside of term time, you do have the chance to gain work experience, such as internships or even do a placement year like I did. And some companies do require candidates to have a degree, so it can open up your career opportunities for higher level jobs in the future.
Yeah, and on the other hand, going through to an apprenticeship, you gain qualifications and work experience along the way from a younger age. You can learn from skilled colleagues that have been in the industry and workplace for a long time, also gaining practical experience along the way. In your chosen field, you choose to do so. You have the potential to develop within, every company is different, but within our company, you can develop and work your way through career progression and advancing from your roles through an apprenticeship through to specialist engineers and so on.
And we have a few career tips to finish off the presentation. So when picking subjects to study, courses to do, or career path to take, I'd say to make sure it's something you're interested in and you're really likely to enjoy, because it will feel less like work and it'll definitely be more enjoyable in the long term. Also, if you have any spare time, which I assume we all do at the moment with COVID restrictions, you could be proactive in developing your skills, like completing online courses. As an example, a few I've done in the past when building my career is Google Analytics courses, which are free and anyone can access them. Also, for a small fee, I've done a diploma in advertising and also social media marketing courses. So if you look online, there are lots of certified courses available, easily accessible, which will all look great on your CV.
Yeah, it's important to keep up to date with the industry news and any understanding of any advancements and developments. Yeah, there are great talking points with people in the industry and potential employers. And just to finish off, remember that everyone's journey is different. Some people go to university, some choose apprenticeships, and others go straight into full-time roles. It's important to find what best suits you and thrive to be the best you can be through hard work.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Thank you for that insightful presentation. I'm sure our audience members have learned a lot today. I definitely did. I didn't really know much about business before this. Now, the audience has been asking a few questions in the chat that we'd like to ask both of you and get your opinions on, if that's okay. So the first question that we've got is, what type of work experience do you think would be beneficial, like, to go into your line of work?
So I think that any part-time jobs in general, any volunteering, any internships, or any work experience do all create transferable skills that you can be applied to any situation. For example, attention to detail, communication, or teamwork. So no matter where you pick the skills up from, it's just applying them to different situations and job roles. So it's how you apply them. For example, how you write them on your CV, that's just the important part. But especially in marketing, I'd say it's good to understand the current trends and keep up to date with new social media and different platforms available.
Yeah, regarding work experience, I did my work experience here at 3D. Obviously a lot smaller scale at the time. Was restricted to certain sites I could go on due to age, as you can appreciate. But it's good to get a little insight on if you want to go into it. Gives you an insight of what everything's about, gives you a broader knowledge of the working world, for example. And really, if you're interested in doing it long term, you know, it's a good option to have, definitely.
Okay, so someone's asked, what is something most people wouldn't know about your profession?
I think not in terms of profession, but working for a family business, you don't necessarily, it's not always like, for example, in marketing, every day it's not always marketing. So you have to get involved in different departments. If someone needs a hand, you have to lend a hand more willingly than if it wasn't a family business. You do have to muck in more and help others more if it wasn't a family business, for example. So I think it's putting more out there and be willing to do more.
Yeah, I think with facilities management, I think it's the services we look after and provide that you don't really appreciate are there in every building. For example, keeping the building warm, the lighting, having comfort temperatures, for example. They're maintained, looked after and kept as working as good as possible and keeping buildings and people compliant and keeping them as safe as possible. Keeping hopefully their costs down long term, having a fair and professional relationship with them to keep it long lasting.
Somebody's asked, what made you personally decide to go down the university or apprenticeship route?
So I think I knew I wanted to go to university, and it was just looking for the university that fitted me best and what courses they provided. So I did business and marketing, and I did want to do a course that had joint opportunities. For example, business and marketing, it covers a lot wider aspects rather than just choosing marketing itself. So I think it's picking the course most suited to you and the location and what opportunities are there.
Yeah.
Phil's forgot the question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. What made you personally decide to go down the university or apprenticeship route?
More so having parents that sometimes learn from what they've done or have enjoyed what they've done, and that sometimes they encourage you to make a decision or give an opinion on a decision. For example, I just wanted to learn a trade as soon as I could really, get into the world of going out, earning some money. Might have had something to do with it as well, but picking up skills as early as you can. You know, there's not a right way of doing it. It's just what you think's best for you and how you think you can thrive and enjoy yourself, really. There's no right and wrong.
Yeah, somebody's asked, what are your favourite things about your jobs?
I'd say how much we cover. So in marketing, it's not just one thing. There's so many different aspects, so whether it's doing the website, it's social media, and it's all like the physical assets and the whole brand in general. As I said, working for the family business, it's not just marketing, it's helping plan long term for business strategies, it's helping develop the business in the current COVID situation. It's all sorts. It's never just your job in a family business, it's helping it build for the long term.
I think it's the variety we cover, but keeping customers happy and offering a good service that's fair, you know, keeping people safe and compliant within a building, but also having people say thank you, well done, I just find quite rewarding.
So, as employers, what impresses you the most when considering hiring someone?
I'd say showing they've been proactive. So as I've said, in their spare time or throughout their education, have they gone out of their way to do something different? Have they volunteered? Have they had an internship? Have they had a part-time job? And it's just showing how any of the skills they've got throughout that, how they could apply it. For example, how could they apply it to work in here? It's not necessarily the best and the most qualified. It's who's going to work the hardest and fit best in our team.
Yeah, I agree in the sense where it does. Qualification is always great to have someone who's relatively clever, but really you'd rather someone that's willing to learn, is hardworking, is flexible, is willing to learn new things and really help when you need to, and times get difficult or a job certainly difficult. You want them to be able to put their hand up and go, I'll help you with this, I'll do an extra hour here, an extra hour there to get a job done at a target set date or time. I think someone that's willing to learn and is willing to push on, you know, a good attitude is the biggest thing, I think.
Yeah. What are the main challenges you've faced in your career development and how have you overcome these?
I'd say starting a new job each time, it's always hard. It's always hard understanding new processes, meeting new people, meeting a new team. But after a few weeks, you always settle in, you always understand it, and it's developing yourself really. So although it can be a challenge, it's good to challenge yourself. So despite starting new companies and teams, it's always about development and looking long term, thinking in a couple of weeks I'll know all this. You might not know at the moment, but it's just about learning. But in that aspect, you should always think joining a new company, do as much as you can at the start and always volunteer and help, because you'll pick up a lot more as quick as possible.
I think the biggest challenge has been through, sounds cliche, but COVID and the lockdown and the pandemic has been difficult. Yes, we have done well through it, but having to furlough a few people, trying to work, schedule plans in for work, dealing with access times, health and safety. It's been quite tricky at times, but having patience with people and understanding what's required, and to meet and keep people compliant. For example, the schools, we have over 150 schools, and trying to keep them compliant while also being safe, accessing staggering work hours before, longer hours before and after schools to keep everyone safe, obviously is the most important thing, but also trying to uphold our contracts and our service is obviously the most important thing.
Yeah, you just listed some things that coronavirus has affected your job. What do you think the main effect of COVID has been on your job as a whole?
I think from a marketing perspective, like a lot of the events and exhibitions we would have been attending have all been postponed, or a few have moved online. So it's adapting to that. But I wouldn't say they're negatives, it's just a way of adapting. But also from we've also looked at it as a positive. So for example, we've took the opportunity to gain technology advancement. So we've introduced a new cloud-based system for our clients. So it's now all online on a portal at like their fingertips. So rather than having to go to meetings every day and transfer paperwork, we've took it as an opportunity to introduce best technology to the company. So I think that's a great way. It's pushed us forward many, many years in that aspect. We just took it as a positive in that way, rather than looking at COVID as a negative all the time.
Yeah, I agree. It's trying to, I touched on it obviously just quite a bit, but trying to keep everyone as safe as possible, trying to tick over as much as you can. Obviously, everyone's had various different effects through COVID, but thankfully it's kept everyone quite sane and ticking over at work. But it's also an opportunity, as Helena touched on, to bring in new sort of technology, develop the company in a more versatile way, trying to go paperless with worksheets, so it's not just safe for people that have to touch paper and sign things, but then this technology is a click of a button, it's on portals, it's online, making everything more efficient, and time management, obviously chopping down cost on paper, for example, going greener and making everything a lot more efficient and quicker.
Somebody's asked, how big do you think your industries will be in the next decade?
I think facilities management and construction as a whole is surprisingly kicked on. For example, even the domestic market, for example, how many houses and roads you go past now, and that they're having building work done. I think people have looked at the COVID times as, right, I'm at home, I'm working from home, I want this job done, for example. Other people have looked at it and said, now's the time to really push on, try something new, develop a new division in their company. People have thought, I haven't enjoyed this job, now's the opportunity to start something I really want to do, and they've opened up a new company that they've thought about doing, but they've never really gone for. So in that sense, facilities management as well, in essence, has pushed on. It's very competitive, and it's really kicking on massively for us. For example, we've quite thrived off it, to be honest. It's been good, and hopefully it continues.
Yeah, you was on about the skills that we need to develop as students to grow in these industries. What would you recommend students do in order to build these skills, especially now with lockdown restrictions? I appreciate it would be quite hard to get out there.
So I think I've previously mentioned the internet is like your best friend. If you can't go out, you can't go and do courses, just have a look online, a simple Google, and you'll find many accessible courses. As I said, Google Analytics, the courses, they're all free. It gives you an insight into like the digital side of marketing, and for a small fee there are many certified courses out there available, and it's just showing you are proactive, you're going to be learning a little bit more to put on your CV. It's just showing you're willing to put yourself out there and do something in your spare time.
I think is read it, if you've got any interest, reading up on any opportunities, you know, you may go to look for when things reopen and you are able to live touch goes back to normal as soon as possible, and you're interested in it, and you can put yourself out there a bit more and learn and try new opportunities. I think keeping your options open and looking at what you're really interested and passionate about, and then pushing for that one as soon as we can, really.
What is the best career advice you've received?
I think not from an individual, but what you pick up is try and be the hardest worker in the room. You know, you can never put yourself out, put your hand up whenever everyone needs something, offer yourself as much as you can. You can always try and learn new things, be as flexible as you can. You can never, no one knows it too much, so you can never stop learning. Every day is a school day, as they say. Always try and learn new things and develop your skills. That's what I'd say.
Sorry. I'd give is never like try and follow someone else's career path, because no one's ever going to be the same. Someone might go to the university at 18, someone might go to university at 40. There's never one path, and don't think you should go at a certain age or go to uni or do an apprenticeship or even go into full-time work. There's never a set path you should have to think you should follow.
When you were at school, did you know this is what you wanted to go into?
So I was studying psychology and business, and I felt they worked really well. And in psychology, I enjoyed learning about people's behaviour and how they could be influenced, and how that sat alongside business and learning about how marketing influences people. So that is why I picked a business and marketing course. It was something I enjoyed, and it's always looking at something you enjoy, because coming to university and doing modules and assignments on branding and marketing, it was always so much easier if you really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think having a dad who's been in the trade and tries to drag you into it is obviously influential, but having a taste of it on the work experience, I think, sort of cemented it a little bit. Say, yeah, this is really what I want to do. I think that's why having utilising, not just having an ordinary, I'll have a 2-week anywhere for work experience. I think trying to get the best placement you can can really help your mindset and what you want to do. Even then, as if you go to do A levels, or it's not long after where you kind of pick what route you want to go to, really. Utilising that work experience, yeah, it was definitely one where I thought, yeah, I'm going to try and push for this when I leave school.
Yeah, so you was talking about enjoying your work. What has been the highlight of your career so far?
I'd say just graduating from university, because you go to school at such a young age. It's finally getting to that point where you're finished. You don't necessarily ever have to go back. So the 3 years at uni, it was 4 years of replacement year, but getting to the final end goal, handing those final assignments, I think it was great to call it an end and it was just ready to start working. I had friends that were working. I was just eager to get out there and do something.
I think a few big things are, obviously every qualification you gain is always a bonus. Promotions are obviously great. I think it's someone telling you well done and saying, yeah, thank you for that, and appreciating the hard work you've put in. That's the most rewarding, I think. Obviously, aim for the sky, and as you know, hard working takes you wherever you want to go, really.
Okay, so this question is specifically for Helena. You did A-level geography, didn't you? So how did that help you with your career today?
So I haven't took geography as a subject with me as such. However, as I've mentioned before, it's mainly the transferable skills you take with you from any course, any subject, any topic. They can all transfer everywhere. So obviously I took business and psychology with me further, but just because I haven't necessarily carried on with geography, it's not to say it hasn't helped me at all in my career. Everything will help you at some point. You just got to realise that.
Yeah.
Speaking about transferable skills, what other jobs are your skills that you use in your job transferable to?
I think the versatility of facilities management and the amount of trades we cover and different customers we provide for, I think being able to drop into a surveying route, maybe more of a project management on capital works orientated, is always an option. But you don't always need the qualification to push for it. I think if you don't find something that you enjoy, you need to go for it and switch on and say, look, I'm going to go for this or that, or what's something you really want to do. But being able to be quite versatile and learn something new as well is always a positive, to be able to go for what you like. However, facilities management is such a wide range of things. It's almost unlimited with regards to what you could sort of progress into. Energy efficiency, for example, it's endless on innovation of buildings. You know, everyone's always trying to be more innovative, save money, and technology is always evolving. So,
and in marketing, I'd say the most important skills are probably like organisation, attention to detail, being creative, but they kind of almost apply to any job if you put your mind to it. It's just applying them to different situations. And if you've got a CV or if you're sat in an interview, it's saying, I've got this skill and this is how I can give it to you, or how I can put it into your company, how it can benefit you.
Somebody's asked, does your company offer work experience, or no one would get work experience in your trade?
We offer work experience, obviously, as I say, I joined. Because we're not so much capital work related on sites, we are able to take in 15, 16-year-olds and take them to the workplace. Obviously, site-based usually is 18 upwards. We've took a few office females on before as work experience, for example. So always is an option. It's just finding the best suited opportunities, jobs, and work around them as good as we can. Obviously, because age is, for example, as I mentioned, sites, for example, they're stricter on age.
Mm-hmm. Somebody's asked, how do you maintain a strong relationship with other members of staff?
I think it's understanding people's strengths and weaknesses and how you can balance that with each other. So if you know someone's really good at something, it's asking them for help or telling them well done for doing something well. If they're weaker at something, it's also knowing you might need to help them a bit more. So it's really understanding that in different teams, being able to balance that throughout the workforce.
Yeah, I think it's been able to have a good balance between having a laugh and joke with everyone, because they are there to enjoy it more than anything else, but also being professional and getting the jobs done when they need to be done. It's great to have a laugh and a joke, but things aren't getting done, then you're not doing your job, really. But having a good balance and enjoying what you do the whole time is the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, so linking to that, Phil, you managed a team of engineers. What is your leadership skill like? Your lead-
I think mine will be different to the engineers' answers, I can imagine. But I think the biggest thing is being approachable. You know, being able, as I've just touched on, being able to have a laugh and a joke with people, but then knowing that when there's a job to be done or deadlines to meet or specific task that day, it needs to be done, and it can be as fair as possible. But also discipline when you need to discipline, but also knowing that the door's always open to have a chat about anything really, being supportive as much as you can with anyone's issues, being there for someone, willing to offer knowledge, learn from others also, never think you can't learn anything, just trying to be as well-rounded as you can, I think is the best solution.
Many of the students here might have exams in the next couple of years. A lot of us missed out on the opportunity to have our GCSEs because of coronavirus and them being cancelled. And do you think there's any advice that's helped you with your exams or even your careers that might apply for them to do well? Because I know me personally, missing out on GCSEs, it's going to impact A-level revision.
Yeah, so I think in terms of revision, it's finding what works best for you and planning a schedule around that. So changing different topics. So don't sit and do one topic for 2 days straight. Change it up, make sure you mix it up with different topics, different subjects. So you're not staring at the same book for 20 hours, pick up another book, look at another topic. Also finding what revision technique suits you. For example, I like pictures, I learn from pictures, but I know other people like to write things out, copy it word for word, drawing diagrams, doing spider diagrams, mind maps. There's such a variation of revision techniques. So it's finding how you learn best and applying that and thinking, how am I going to remember this information, and just sticking to it, but not making it too hard for yourself either. But trying to make it a bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, I think exam related is, as Helena touched on, is finding the best solution for you. I mean, brainstorming, post-it notes, writing something down yourself, reading something online, case studies of identifying it's actually happened and learning from it in that sense, I think is a big plus. Yeah, finding the best solution and thinking, you know, being quite versatile in your sense of I'll try this, don't rule anything out, and just the most important thing is to stay positive. It's not a written rule that you won't succeed from having bad results. You know, it's only a stepping stone really in your development. You know, there's always opportunities to carry out anything as much wherever you want.
Somebody's asked, what is your application process like?
What
to get a job at your business?
Oh, so when we've got jobs available, we post them on the website, we post them on social media, try and reach as many people as possible. So ask them to send in a CV, some also send in a cover letter. Then it's the process of whittling it down to possibly who's got the best skills on their CV, but also it's finding how not to just look at the piece of paper and thinking about the person. So a piece of advice is try and put personality into your CV if possible, and always make it look as best as you can, because if you've got a poor CV, the likeliness of getting an interview does get smaller. So it's really jazzing it up, making it look really nice and professional. That'll give you a much better chance. And trying to put yourself into it. So how are we going to know you're funny? How are we going to know you're bubbly? Try and get it onto paper, because you're more likely to get an interview if we can see what you might be like.
You know, I think with CVs, with everything going on at the moment, for example, a CV is probably a lot more vital. It's always good to have a good CV, but it's a lot more vital at the moment because less people are doing interviews, physical ones, it's over Zoom, and even then sometimes you can't express yourself as much as you want. You know, I think it's difficult. I think we put out a job application last year, and I think it had something like 800 applicants or something absurd just for an office role. So unfortunately, through these times,
we can't interview everyone. So
no, I think through these times as well, you can appreciate a lot of people have lost jobs, which is, you wouldn't wish that upon anyone. But trying to, you can only interview a certain amount of people, and you know, looking for qualifications are always good, but looking for people that, as Helena mentioned before, is going out their way, being proactive, being bubbly, willing to learn. I think when someone's hardworking, and you can always try the best, I think that's the biggest thing you can have. And of course, it's trying to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, I can just see Alex has put on the questions. Was there 800 people applying for one role?
Yeah,
yes, it
was.
was. 800 CVs received for one role. So as you can imagine, though, during COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs, and it's a job. Everyone wanted a job. We just happened. We got an amazing person, but we had the pick of the bunch. We had to pick one person from 800. Although it was challenging, we got the best person we thought was suited for the job. So that was good for us.
Well, one thing I'd say is sometimes when a CV does come through, not always when you've got an application out. For example, an engineer. If a good CV comes through, good experience, and a phone, you give them a brief call, and then we try and work them into the system more than letting them pass by. We've done that before, where a good engineer comes along and we try and find a role or move someone around to a different division or somewhere, because they don't always come around very often, and trying to bring in A players as much as you can will only help the company.
Yeah, so also a tip is, if you want to work for a company, put yourself out there, call them up, send your CV in, because they might just about to be put out a job advert, and you might get that job before it's gone out. Also, I can't say enough how important LinkedIn is. I know I had it from a young age, but I also know a lot of people didn't. It's like your online CV, and I did get my graduate job from LinkedIn. So it's showing how important that is. I was approached for it, and without LinkedIn, I wouldn't have got that job. So it's really proves how
Yeah, I think LinkedIn isn't promoted enough as such. It's only when I started work in the last few years I even knew about it. I think for any younger person, putting yourself on LinkedIn, having a profile and putting up opportunities for this. I have people on there and they've said, unfortunately, I've been made redundant. I'm looking for roles in this. And within an hour, you'll have 10 different people tag things in, go mention this. It's such a good platform to try and get opportunities, definitely.
So we know that business is about like the balance between risk and reward. What has been the biggest risk you've taken?
Even a big company for you, I'd say.
Yeah, so I was working for Bridgestone. They're a global company, and I think the risk was leaving that role to join the family business. It's not as such, I didn't see it as a risk, but I know quite a few people thought I was a bit silly to leave the role I was in. But to me, it was more of an opportunity to help this business grow. Like, we got to the point where we could have afford to employ a marketing person in-house, and if I wasn't the person, then I don't know who it would have been. So it was my chance to come back and join the company. So people saw it as a risk, and I saw it as an opportunity. So.
Yeah. What career mistake has given you the biggest lesson?
I'd say when you're engineering and a burst water pipe smacks you in the face, I think it's a good one. Always ensuring everything's safely turned off. What do you think?
What was the question?
Yeah, Phil, as service manager, you lead a team of engineers. What is your leadership style with them?
Yeah, I briefly touched on it before. I think it's being able to have a good balance between always having a good laugh and a joke. Of course, you've got to enjoy yourself, but knowing that being strict in a good balance where the job's got to be done, we're there to meet deadlines, and always keep the standard of work to a good professional standard of what we thrive ourselves on. Always having the door open for a chat, regardless of the subject. It could be about anything, any issues they have, wanting to progress, or honesty is and having trust and being honest is a big factor. You should be able to trust everyone you work with, or definitely your management or supervisor, for example. And feeling comfortable in your work environment is vital, and that's what I try for myself to do, definitely. And 3D, I know other directors and everyone does as well.
I know you touched on this in your presentation with the apprenticeships, but what would you say the main benefit or the main thing that maybe you lost out on having done an apprenticeship is?
Well, to be honest, a couple of my teachers when I was doing GCSE said you're mad doing it. To be fair, I wouldn't mind saying that. They said you're mad going into that. You won't succeed that much, and you're pigeonholing on what opportunities you can have and in the future what you can do. and I can't comment, but I did end up going to university in the end. It's just I felt that if I wanted to progress, I wanted to be able to know that if I'm asking someone to do something or someone calls me asking for a hand, I know I've been there, done it, and I can offer advice technically, but also they can't overlook me and think, you've never done this, you've worked from the bottom, done 10 years on site and developed your way, and you haven't just been landed on your feet. I think people have a lot more time for you, respect for you, knowing you've done it a long way, especially in trades, for example.
What was your first win that made you confident that you were doing something right? Quite a hard one, isn't it?
The first win, did you say?
Yeah.
I think for me was doing sort of your when you've been training for so long with someone, obviously your apprenticeships a lot of the time are over 2 years. Is doing your first job on your own is quite rewarding. Putting in your own boiler on your own, installing your own air conditioning system, turn around going, I didn't need a hand for that. Obviously, my listening and working hard and learning is paying off. I think that's probably the most rewarding thing, knowing you can do it yourself.
Yeah, and in marketing, I like to measure results and see the return we're getting on different social media posts, or if we're entering awards, or we're winning. So the win to me, it's good engagement rates, how well our posts are doing, engagement with potential customers, and different posts going to the right people at the right times, and are they coming back to us? How are we doing from that? I think it's, in my mind, it's measuring that. So from 2020, we did get very good engagement rates on social media, so I'd say that was a very good win for me, showing the hard work we put in did pay off in the end. I think
another thing is, all the social media platforms and everything are obviously massive, but a lot of the time, a word of mouth is the biggest thing. I think good or bad things, but if you can do 10 good things, they may only remember the one bad thing. However, word of mouth and having it come, because it always finds its source, coming back to you and saying, yeah, they've commented saying they've liked what you've done here, they've done a really good job there. I think that's a rewarding thing.
I do think a lot of our work does come from word of mouth, from customers. Yeah. Suggesting us to other customers.
Having trust and having trust in us, I think.
Definitely the biggest thing we get.
Yeah, well, I think that's most of the questions wrapped up there. Thank you for doing this. And there were some really interesting points there. I think 800 people for one job, it really shows the effect COVID's had. And I would like to stress to anyone watching LinkedIn, from things I've heard and from what you've been saying, it's definitely something well worth thinking about going into a career.
Everyone go get LinkedIn then.
Absolutely, you'll be inundated with LinkedIn requests now, Helena and Phil, on the back of this. But Liam, Ikra, that was absolutely fantastic. What a really well hosted Q&A. I think I've learned more about Helena and Phil in that last 30 minutes than that presentation could have given in a long time. So that's really, really good. That's great questions from everybody. And I think, on behalf of myself and Alex and everyone, a massive thank you to Helena and to Phil for giving up their time in their nice plush office space with their banner in the background. We really appreciate it, and I think it was really good for the students and young people to sort of see two sides of the coin. And I think that really worked well. So hopefully you've been taking notes, all the young people on the call, and it's given you some really good ideas and a great presentation and really interesting answers to the questions, and a huge appreciation to Helena and to Phil for your time. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to follow up if you've got any further questions, or stay in touch with them through the course of your exams and your coming careers as you grow into potential new apprentices at 3D Facilities Support. I'm not sure you can have 15 all at once, but I really appreciate it, both Helena and Phil. Thank you. Thank you to Alex for organising on behalf of the Chamber as well. As we said, we have a break next week for half term, and we're welcoming Burley Brown into the next hot seat, shall we call it, and then we also have WAA Chosen, who are another Sutton company, a creative agency that will be thinking about marketing. I'm sure can build on some of the things that Helena has spoken about from a marketing point of view as well. So I think that's all from everybody now. So again, thank you everyone. This is being recorded, so we will get this sent out the other schools and other areas as well across Sutton, which is really one of the main reasons behind this as well, to get it out to as many people as possible. So thank you all. Have a great evening.
Right, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the poster for the next event is in the chat. So if anyone is interested, then you can check that out for the next one. It's on the 25th of February. Yeah.
There you got me right, Ikra. Much better than me saying that. Well done. Thank you. Wonderful. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just as a final point, I'd like to say that could you please look out for the Youth Council's fundraising activities in the future for the YMCAs. They're a charity well worth the donations, and they support 228,000 young people every year in England and Wales. The link to the YMCA website will be in the chat, so please donate if you can. Yeah, that's the end of the seminar. If you have any more questions or want more information on anything, don't hesitate to contact your local youth council member at your school. Thank you for coming, and we hope to see you next time.